Welcome to Middle Fingers Up. I'm your host, Kiran. Today we are discussing who is raising our children and how we show up in the spaces in between for them. And we're not just talking about parents of kids, we're talking about all of us adults who are responsible for the future for their children. And joining us today, I'm super excited, is Dr. Aninda. Sidana. She is a distinguished psychiatrist and mental health advocate from Rajasthan, India, with over a decade of experience in psychosexual medicine, addiction psychiatry, and public health. Dr. Sidana has dedicated her career to destigmatizing mental health and empowering our communities. She comes from a family of psychiatrists. She was immersed in the nuances of mental health from a young age, which shaped her passion for this field. Beyond her clinical work, if you look her up, she is a busy woman. She is doing a lot for her community and everything she can to bring awareness and action for us. She actively works to break the stigma around mental health, particularly in our South Asian communities. Her insights on gender equality, human rights, and mental well-being have made a lasting impact. One thing that I want to say before I welcome our doctor is that she is dedicated to her career, to psychiatry, advocacy, and awareness, particularly areas where mental health and systemic structures intersect. And her work goes beyond awareness. She's all about pushing for action. What do we do now and how do we do it? And today we want to do the same thing. We were not just talking about what's wrong. We're asking, what do we do about it? And that's really what this conversation is about. So let's get into it. Let's welcome our doctor. Hello, Dr. Sidana. Welcome. Thank you for being with us here today on MFU.
Hello. So thank you for such a warm introduction and the warm smile. I am into mental health advocacy, and just to add to it,
Yes.
recently, I just want to share a good news and I want to express my gratitude to the Indian Psychiatrist Society President and the Honorary Secretary, Dr. Amrit Patujoshi sir, also to guide me, mentor me, and also to promote me and appoint me as Assistant General Secretary for the Indian Psychiatrist Society for Northern Zone. So now I am dedicated to create much more mental health awareness, and definitely I am a passionate gender-based violence advocate and also into LGBTQ advocacy. And I believe gender equality and the things can be changed only when we start talking about the positive mental health instead of talking about what's wrong. So it's lovely to be in conversation with you.
Congratulations. I'm so glad you're sharing this with us. I think it's wonderful to have you be part of the society and supporting our community. And what is one thing that you're excited to bring with your new role?
So with my new role, I am excited to bring about some DEI courses to make workplace more DEI and also the gender equality mainly, and to raise awareness about the mental health issues, which we don't talk about, the social media, which is impacting the adolescents and also the kids nowadays. Even a 3-year-old child does not eat food without the social media or without a gadget in the hand. And so about that, and also the safety plans, and about to make our women a bit stronger and men a bit more humble and feminine, so that it can be reached. So I am more passionate about all this, and the LGBTQ advocacy, definitely I'm into that.
That is something we should talk about. You come from a family of psychiatrists. So what drew you to this field personally?
So like being from the family of psychiatrists, it's like from the beginning we have been hearing about the mental health issues. It's like depression mein koi aaya, someone was in depression or confusion and all those things. But from childhood I was not, because we had seen our parents being very busy. So we used to think we should not become psychiatrists because it's a very busy life, but still we had a lovely childhood that they gave us so much of time. I cannot explain. Like, despite being busy every day, they used to take us out or spend time with us. We have family dinners together. So definitely, after some time, I started getting inspired by the human mind. Like, it's very complex. The emotions and the thought process of every individual is different. And then I got inspired to take up psychiatry. And yes, definitely, my father is my role model to be like him.
Aw. Your like advocacy work is powerful. And what inspired you to focus on the 2S LGBTQ plus community and the issues of abuse and oppression?
So for the LGBTQ community, I'm more because when I was pursuing psychosexual medicine, I got the first project as a coming out process as my presentation. And then I started getting clients in which I saw they were being like, even people were not talking to them, family members. And kids were suffering from a lot of anxiety, PTSD issues, and being abandoned. And then after 2, 3 visits, they will tell main reason of anxiety is like because they are not able to come out of the closet. Like, why it should be difficult? Everyone has a human rights. So when I started helping them in coming out process, then few family started calling me up. We are proud of our children now. They accept it. And in India, it's very stigmatized, and people get them married, and in the end, the marriages end up in divorce because of that. So, which is very traumatic for both the parties. So that's why I came into this, and definitely, I believe everyone has human rights, and one should speak for the marginalized communities. Basically, I don't believe they are marginalized; they are different from us. First of all, it's just people have made it. They are absolutely normal like us.
Mm-hmm.
So then Ellie with a crazy thought that everyone has a human rights.
Yeah.
So yeah, gender-based violence advocacy, it's basically a very personal cause to me because I have myself been into 2 marriages, and that too ended in a gender-based violence, and from a very educated persons, like both were doctors and like intelligent and family of doctors. So I thought, like, despite being educated and being from the family of psychiatrists, I could not identify the red flag signs, and also I could not gather the courage to move out.
Yeah.
It took me 3 years to break the silence in both the marriages, which was the turning point, which I thought like I should help other women because I am very privileged, I am grateful, blessed that my family is very supportive, my friends are supportive, Indian Psychiatric Society people are encouraging me to work, and which all is helping me healing. So, but I have seen many women suffering, they can't come back home because their parents are not supporting them despite being educated. So I thought I should help them. That is the thing which I believe. But in the process of thinking about it, I thought we have been thinking a lot about just by crying that women are being beaten or there is a violence, it is not going to make any difference. The difference will come when we talk about equality, like bringing men into it. By bringing men into talking about the women equality, women empowerment, then only the change can happen. And of course, biologically, we are different. So we can exist in harmony instead of just crying, we are better or you are better. No sex is better. We all are equal with equal opportunities. We should have mutual respect for each other. So I believe instead of making hue and cry of violence, we should talk about the equality.
Yeah, well said. You know, your work in psychosexual medicine, addiction, women's health, like what have you seen as the biggest mental health struggles in our South Asian communities?
So in South Asian communities, the biggest mental health struggle is first of all to talk about mental health. Nobody talks about it. If I get asthma attack or just a fever, we will call all the family relatives. No one is coming to take care of us. No one is asking us. And if I am in depression, we will start hiding. We will not tell anybody. That is like the stigma, but there should not be any stigma about that, first of all. It is just like a biological illness, rather biopsychosocial model. Many factors play into the role. So they are similar to diabetes and hypertension. like those illnesses. And similarly, the chemical changes in the brain happen and these illnesses happen. So there is nothing wrong in that. And one should not be ashamed about talking about it. So that is the main challenge, first of all, to make people talk about it and bring them to the psychiatrist. That is the challenging issue.
Yeah, for sure. I think you say that really well. The first step is acknowledging the awareness around it. And why do you think that we still hold these dangerous misconceptions that really fuel the stigma? Where do you think that's still coming from?
Uh, it's like ingrained in our society. Like today morning only, I have made a video with my father because today is a World Bipolar Day, and the theme is bipolar strong. And I have like many celebrities have also come out about it. Yo-Yo Honey Singh, he spoke about his journey to being to the bipolar, but nobody accepts talking about the mental health. Like even in my childhood, I used to feel like I can't go to my dad's hospital by some vehicle, right, rickshaw or something, because everyone used to say that is a mental hospital, and I used to feel like why I am going to mental hospital, they will judge me.
Mm.
But it's not hospital, and he's not a doctor for mad people. So that is the first misconception everyone has. Even childhood, I also used to have this. Like I used to tell the name of the neighboring hospital, I have to go there instead of telling the name of my dad's hospital. Like people will think I am mad. So that stigma is ingrained, which can be broken. Yes, we are talking about it. People like all the even media professionals now. Deepika Padukone is talking about it. Even Shah Rukh Khan came up with like struggle with loneliness and depression, and many. Ira Khan has opened her NGO. Then Isha has openly written a memoir about. She is very courageous, and her strength and resilience is to be is a testament. Like it should, she has accepted. She has written a memoir about her bipolar. So she is, and now she is into mental health advocacy. So when people start talking about it, definitely we will be able to break the stigma. And media definitely plays a very big role in this. So media is a double-edged sword, I think.
Yeah, it is. I agree. And I just want to shift for a second because, we're two adults and we're talking about understanding mental health or well-being. And I think sometimes we, as adults, we skip childhood and we skip where it all starts. And we think somehow we're protected and, our kids are innocent and great. And then all of a sudden these kids grow up, we become adults and we think, oh my gosh, I have all these issues. And I just want to back it up and spend a little bit time, in the environment of children. So we kind of in the beginning, we mentioned who's raising our kids. And so we talk about parenting. That's one thing. But who else is raising our kids? We have the school systems, we have the justice systems, we have social media, as you say. And I think, as you even talk about talking, the way we speak. So everything around our kids plays a role. And while taking on these systems alone is impossible, we look at how they show up in our households. I think that's really important to look at. How do I view the justice system? How do I view the school system? How do I view the health system in my own house? And when we even take it further, we can look at our kids' sports, recreational spaces, their hobbies, their friendships, but back to most importantly within our own homes. So what can we focus on in our own homes if we were to start with our own children today and their mental health?
Who is raising our kids is definitely first role is of parents. And because learned behavior, children learn from their parents. And also I have seen the children who have been neglected in the childhood, they it leads to the insecure attachment styles, and also in men it can lead to the fragile egos, and also the aggression is definitely the learned behavior which comes from the fathers. Usually if father is aggressive and is using abusive language or labeling, all this comes from the parenting. And learned behavior is important. But these days there is like I saw like the Matrix movie, they said like the red pill culture. What will you pick, whether a red pill or a blue pill? So red pill is about toxic masculinity, and misogynic attitude and all. And nowadays, people, have you seen Animal movie? I don't know. It's a Bollywood movie, Animal, in
Oh,
which
my
Ranbir.
mom keeps telling me to watch it and I have not seen it. No, no.
So yes, in Animal movie, it has been shown like Ranbir Kapoor was so attached to his father, but his father was neglecting him in the childhood, and that led to the toxic masculinity and his obsession and his love for his father and the aggression which has been shown in the movie. It's basically the childhood neglect, and which definitely has a lot of impact. So as parents should spend time with our children and we should see what they are doing. Yeah, we should not leave them alone. And obviously nowadays it's different. Parents cannot interfere all the time, but at least some supervision is definitely needed. What your children is watching on the media, on social media, what are they watching, what are they doing, all this is very important, because even who children who are involved in the gaming and who are involved in the violent games, they become violent. So all this is definitely important to check, to keep it can be like, we cannot be very strict, because even very strict parenting, it's like once you stop someone, that is like rebellion
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Should be a balance of supervision and the control, but along with, you should be very friendly with your kids, that they are confident to tell you anything, whatever they are suffering from. And in daughters, you see, like we have like ingrained roles. We keep on teaching our daughters to be people pleasing or to have a submissive role. Especially in India, we teach them like you have to go to the other house and take care of the parents, in-laws, and be submissive. A woman is called bossy when she talks about anything. She's labeled being bossy, being aggressive. But I think that should be changed first of all. The labels from the women should be separated. Anyways, labels are for the bottles, not for the human beings. Even I say it for LGBTQ also, there are no labels for human beings. Labels are meant for the jars and the bottles, not for the human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so then another thing which is shaping our kids is definitely the schools. In schools, we keep on teaching the history, geography, but I believe schools should now change the system. They should start having the emotional regulation, emotional intelligence classes. That is more important, how emotionally intelligent your child is. We don't teach them. And even parents, these days, both parents are working, and so emotional regulation is important to be taught. That should be a part of a curriculum of the school.
Yeah.
So schools play an important role, and the policymakers can only do that. So that is a call to action we should talk about, like to start emotional regulation classes. Then, and also women should be told that they are safe and they should be empowered enough. Basically, more than like, because a women cannot match the physical strength of a man. We cannot teach women karate and believe that she will be powerful as man. But we can teach her the anticipation, strategy thinking, critical thinking, and instincts, what is going wrong. So, and also be so friendly that she's comfortable to talk to the father or mother what is happening. If some about safe touch and bad touch, education starts from the beginning, from I think preschool or the first class at least, it should start. The safe touch and the bad touch, we should teach them.
Yeah.
So all those things, but be so friendly with your child that he is confident enough to tell you. He's not scared to tell you anything. Yeah. Social media, definitely, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it brings connectedness, but we are, I believe, like we are so lonely in a social, still the so such connected world, but loneliness is still there. We all meet up on Saturday or Sunday, but everybody is on the phone. We are in touch with people from far, but who is sitting beside us, we are not talking to them. So I believe parents should definitely spend time with the child, and I think one meal should be together, because nowadays timings are so different. So at least one meal a family can have together, or at least go for a small drive. Because my father had a rule: we used to go for a small drive, and definitely we have a meal together, at least dinner. It's not
Yeah.
also that is important, and parents and children should be comfortable, and also the peer support.
Mm.
Many I've seen they are very much influenced by the friends. Even I was very influenced. If I my friends are into studying, I will be more into studying. If my friends are into going out, I will be influenced and go out. So that is like ingrained. Like everyone gets influenced, but many people are disciplined enough. But still, parents should know who your child's friends are.
Yes. Yeah.
Can control that, but at least you can monitor that he's not falling into a bad company. So that is there because it actually affects the academic performance, and you should be seeing like is there any decline in the academic performance, or if you see the change in the behavior of a child suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
there might he is falling into a wrong company or into some drug addiction because which is very common these days. So
Mm-hmm.
a parent should be careful about that. The change in a behavior, school refusal, if there is school refusal, they should be monitoring like is something bad happening in the school or is there assault or something is there. So if you talk to them, then only they will tell you.
Yeah. I think you covered a lot in terms of all the different aspects that are impacting our children. And at the end of all of this, the most important piece is the talking. And we can't really understand what's happening in the school and the friend circle and all that. And I think something that us parents need to even just the adults, whether you're a coach, whether you're a teacher, these role models that are involved in kids' lives, especially today, because we have the trickiness of social media and different languages kids use, digital language and all that. I think sometimes us adults think we know a lot and we know what to do. And I think we have to start by admitting we know nothing. Like we don't know anything and we act like we do. And when we don't know anything, our ego kicks in. And when our ego kicks in, we start to do a lot of controlling. And sometimes I think as parents and adults, we think that the best way to supervise our kids is by having some kind of control. So if I know where my kid is going to and from, GPS controls, all that, okay, that's one thing. But I don't, again, the space in between, I don't really know how my kid is thinking when they are with their friend. I don't really know how my kid is thinking when they are in the class. And we do a lot of telling. We tell and tell and tell. And what would it take? What is one thing as adults we could do to start asking kids more? I think there's a shift that we need to have. Sometimes we think that it's more important to tell kids the truth, which is what we know, versus understanding what they think about that. What does my child think about what it means to be a man? Or what does my child think about what it means to be lonely than just telling him what he needs? So how can we shift that as adults and do less telling and more asking?
So definitely, first of all, your child should feel like you are a friend, not a parent. And you should start asking instead of asking, start having a conversation like a friend. Like since childhood, my father has been my best friend. I tell him everything, almost everything. Yeah, I'm not scared. And yeah, I hid about my abuse because it would have hurt him. But definitely, the moment I told him, it was a last minute in the house. So we should be very supportive to our parent. Our parents should be very supportive. Anyways, there is a generation gap.
Mm-hmm.
But in this generation also, like still like you can talk to your kids as a friends, and instead of you talking, let your child talk. The curiosity from the child, it should come and he should come and ask or she should come and ask to you, is it right mama or is it right papa? And then you not do the moral policing, you can have a conversation, having a like empathetic conversation and a friendly conversation. Because I have seen, like I believe, the more stricter the parents are, the more rebellious the child is.
Mm-hmm.
My parents stop me from doing, I will do that definitely. So I have seen that personally also. I am into this, and I have seen many people whose parents are strict, then they go to the extremes. So
Mm-hmm.
which is very, and the punishment which child gets in the childhood, it actually creates a very bad impact and it affects the relationship in the adulthood. with the parent. The family dynamics gets disturbed. It's a dysfunctional family then.
What I hear you saying is, so instead of control, we're talking about connection. And that connection with our child starts at a very young age, being curious with them about what is on their mind, how are they managing. And again, that misconception us adults have of wanting to tell them the truth, which again, what do we know about it? That's just our opinion, versus asking them what they think about these things. I think sometimes we tell, again, our kids, mom and dad are fine, mom and dad are, doing well, but they can see. I'll give you an example. Last night, my youngest son went to bed in his room, and he didn't know this, but when my husband was about to go to bed, he noticed that our dog had peed all over our bed, and it was almost midnight. So he takes the sheets off. We don't have time to wash the sheets, and I said, "Okay, why don't you just go sleep in the upstairs guest bedroom? I'll go sleep on the couch." And my younger son came out to go to the washroom, and he came to me and he said, "Mom, why are you and Papa not sleeping in the bed? Why are you sleeping on the couch?" And so I said, "Oh, I've actually heard, my dog's name is Ashwarya Rai. Ash, she peed, and Papa and I didn't have time to wash the bed. So Papa just went to the guest bedroom up here and I'm on the couch." He's like, "Oh, okay." But I was thinking about that after he left, because usually when you see on TV, when the adults are fighting, the one person sleeps on the couch and the other person is away. And so for my son, I could tell he was figuring out if my husband and I had a fight. And so sometimes we try to, in this case, we were not having a fight, but for me, it was important to be aware of, why is he asking this question, instead of just telling him and having that conversation. Now it's midnight. I'm not going to do it at that time, but in the morning, now it's important that we follow up and go back and say, "Okay, what were you thinking was going on?" And then also wondering, where did that come from? Where does the idea that, we're having a fight because one's on the couch and not, where does that come from? And I think sometimes we just are such in a hurry and we're trying to get to the bottom. And like you said, parents are working, we're so distracted, we're so busy, we miss these little signs that our kids are telling us or showing us. And we just want to tell them, if we were to stop and slow down and to be more curious, do you have some suggestions in how we can invite our kids to talk more, and maybe even some ways that as adults we can feel comfortable? Because some of us adults haven't been taught that as well. Especially our generation, we've been taught, just listen. You don't ask your parents. I wasn't supposed to ask my mom and dad questions. I was just supposed to be a good kid and listen. So for adults, what are some things we can do to get more comfortable, to be able to be curious and want to ask more and wonder, why is my child asking this, instead of just thinking, "Oh, whatever," and moving on?
So first of all, it's really a good sign that your child asks you. It means you are raising him right.
Oh,
That
I'm just gonna take that as a personal to me, by the way. Thank you, because sometimes as parents you feel like you're the worst.
children notice the subtle signs. Even when there is a marital conflict happening, a child gets to know it much better.
Yeah.
That something going on between mom and dad and they are not talking, or why mom has gone out alone, or why father is sleeping in the different room. All these things child notices. And that is now, so as you said, in your family you were not able to talk, it was like to be a good kid. So it's the time to break the generational curse. So which is being done, your child is asking you and you explained him, so that is really good. Instead, if you would have told him why are you questioning, which that would have been wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when that you explain to him, so that he does not go and sleep with the insecurity that mom or dad are fighting. A child gets very fearful when there is a conflict between parents. And I always say, when in India people keep on dragging the marriages because child is there. But staying in an unhappy marriage and daily fighting in front of the child will do more harm to him instead of being a single mother or a single father.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we put marriage on this high pedestal in our community. It's the be all end all. It's accomplishment. And maybe for some it is, and for some it goes well and successful. But as you've been talking about, for many, it's an expectation, and we aren't taught what we're supposed to do in this marriage. And so I think it's a really good point, and we have to keep letting people know there's other options to raise our kids in a healthy way beyond just being in a marriage together. And so I'm glad that those are conversations that are happening in India too, about why are we together if our kids are, suffering? This isn't actually helpful to them. If I can just talk a little bit about unmasking, some of the things we're talking about is unmasking the oppressed oppress, and many of these hidden influences we discuss, right? About these signs, us children growing up into adults, what we've internalized as children, what's taught to us, what we've observed, our kids are doing the same thing. So silence, control, unchecked cycles, as you talked about, breaking these, show up in our family structures as oppression because we don't want to go there. We don't want to do that. You've worked with survivors of trauma and abuse. You've talked about also being a survivor of abuse. So what are some hidden ways oppression continues within families and communities that sometimes they don't even realize is happening?
So first of all, it's time to break the generational curses which have been coming on about oppression. Like, I am different in that because in my family, I have never seen, even from the grandfather also, he has never raised the voice. I have never seen any man raising a voice to the woman. And we are all daughters in the family, everywhere, like in all the families. So we all have been raised to be equal to the boys, like equal opportunities, equal respect. And also, but from the childhood, we have been taught like to take care of the in-laws as parents, and marriage should work. This is like ingrained belief. It was not like my parents never said like divorce is a stigma. But yeah, it's like our society has ingrained in it like marriage should work and a divorced daughter and divorce is a stigma. So I tolerated abuse, maybe. And also there is I have seen some mental health professionals also calling me up, and they are saying, you are talking about gender-based violence. It's just for publicity you are doing. And some of the abuse can keep on going because there are financial benefits in the marriage. And I was shocked to hear from a psychiatrist. Like a mental health professional is saying this, that it's okay, some of the abuse can be tolerated because a girl is having financial benefits. How is it like so? How, like, despite being so educated and that to a mental health professional, if that is the thinking of our society, how can we change it? First of all. And then definitely one thing you spoke about marriage. So even Kiran Rao had made a statement like a marriage does not come with a script or a rule book. It never comes. So even I am being a psychiatrist, my failed marriages, they don't define me. I have read everything about the marriages, how to save the marriage, how the marriage works, everything. But yes, I am also a human being which can make mistakes. And also the every human relationship, every human emotion is different, which cannot be ruled by any book, any script. So first thing is that. Another about the oppression. That is the ingrained mentality in our society. That men are, from the beginning only, men are being taught to be masculine. Masculine means it has been portrayed in the cinema also, like men should not cry, a man who cries is weak, and also that men have the right to have a power over the women, which is not right. Like, so, and the oppression, like recently I read a quote, I forgot the name of the author, like who wrote the quote. It was about the mass the two the master who has made the tools cannot dismantle the own house. So the tools which are this means like the tools which are there, that is the invisible power dynamics and the power, toxic masculinity, patriarchy, which is ingrained in our society. It cannot be dismantled just like that. So action should be taken by the policymakers. And also the media has a big role mental health professionals play a big role. We should start talking about and teaching our men to be vulnerable, to embrace the emotions. And crying is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength, vulnerability. So that is the one thing which should be taught. And it does not give a, just because you are a man, you don't have a power to disrespect anybody, any woman. Not even a woman, and even as a woman, even if I am a CEO of the company, I don't have a power to disrespect even a single person.
Mhm.
That is like the power dynamics which keeps on playing. That has to be changed, and the rules which are there ingrained in the society, that should be broken now. And it's a call to action that we should start making the change. Policymakers should act on that, and educational curriculum should change first of all. From the beginning, from the childhood, men should be taught to be vulnerable, empathetic, mutual respect should be taught. So
Mhm.
feminism is not about beating men up.
Yeah.
Recently, I heard a very good TED talk. It started with, there was an argument going on, and a woman says, when I was arguing, my friend said, "You are a feminist," and she didn't know the meaning of the what is a feminist, but she didn't want to lose the argument. She kept on arguing. Then she went and she saw the dictionary. It was written, "A feminist are women who don't have husbands and are unhappy."
Oh, okay.
Feminism is not about hating men or not about being unhappy. Then, in the end, she concludes her talk as the biggest feminist she knows is her brother, a man who supports the women's rights. So, that is the true feminism. And the misogyny, which is ingrained in our society, the hate for the women, and that man has the power to abuse or sexual abuse, that is not at all tolerable. So, recently, adolescence movie, I can see like the most horrifying part was the third episode in which a boy says, "I murdered her, but at least I didn't touch her."
Oh, we're talking
Or
about
like,
adolescence? Yeah, yeah.
so it is like, who gave you the power to sexually assault her, first of all? And there was also the argument she was impure, or so we should change that thing. That change comes from the childhood, because we it's like we are talking about the vagina, about penis. We don't talk about, we only don't talk, even maybe you also with the kids, we say it's pom pom. We don't use the words about the penis or about the vagina. And in all the languages in India, it's about abusing when you use the word for vagina, and men get entitled that we are cleaning the filth. They get
Mhm.
this entitlement, the power, and then they say, we have just cleaned the filth. So we should change that narrative first of all, that it's not cleaning the filth, and we should start doing the sex education. The comprehensive sex education is very important. That should also be a part of curriculum, and we have been doing that. My sister is a child psychiatrist, so we do it in the schools, the safe touch and the bad touch, and do the comprehensive sex education programs on a small scale. So which is very important to change this narrative. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If I can add, I think like I'm a mom of two boys, and I'm grateful that I did go to mental health school to give myself a little bit of knowledge on how I could have started earlier with my sons. And I absolutely agree that we, even in like in the our South Asian culture, right? We don't talk about penis and vagina. We have all these funny names for it, and we get confused. And the other thing that we forget about and don't understand is consent, when we should be teaching it from like toddlers and infants, when our child is demanding, they want to even go back to the store and they need the toy. I want the toy. I want the toy. I want the toy. And often, a lot of parents will just give in and do it. And that little child is going to keep growing and pushing that boundary to the next thing I want, or please, please, please. And I really feel these little messages start so young with our babies and our little toddlers and our school age children. And then they become teenagers. And then they're so close to adulthood that it's not that we can't undo, but we become so comfortable with this pattern, and the voice gets louder and they get stronger about it. I think even if you go back to the show, as you mentioned, adolescence, like the first thing I noticed in that show, in the first episode, was the boy, when he was at the police station, he really wanted his dad from the beginning. He wanted his dad with him. And you can tell he has a very interesting relationship with his father. But even the father, when he would address the police officer or he would address the nurse in the police station, if it was a man, he would address them by their duty name, like officer so and so. But when it was a woman, it was love. Excuse me, love, do you know when I will get to see my son? And the other woman was also a detective. And he said that word so many times to women. And it's like, sometimes we think men are being kind and so sweet when they refer to women by, oh dear, or oh sweetheart. And I think these are really bad messages that we are teaching our boys and our girls at a young age. And it very similar to what you're saying about a penis and a vagina. Like at the end of the day, these terms, they sort of you decide who we are. I'm a woman and I have a name, and I'm not love. I'm an officer. I'm the nurse. And you know what? But it's like they can't accept authority, and so they have to call the woman as they are. And even later in the episode, the father is talking to his almost 18-year-old daughter and his wife, and they're all having this fight, and he's addressing them as girls, stop. And I think that's the other thing is men can grow up and be taught, again, that they're here and we are below. And so the way that they address us and what they're missing and what we are missing as women and men, because we have to do this together, we can't isolate this, is that the terms we use towards each other are really teaching the young children, specifically the boys, that they already have this authority. I mean, you see it when the boy is talking to the psychologist and she's interviewing him. How he talks to her is very demeaning. And a 13-year-old boy doesn't just wake up and learn that. His most influential place, as we talked about, is his home, and how his father addresses these women around him and how his father addresses the boy himself is going to be very significant as this boy is deciding in his own head what it means to live in this world around women. And I really, a call to action, I really think as adults, we have to go back and understand language is very, very powerful and it's very symbolic. So I'm sure you have things you might want to add to that.
You can bring the change only from your house. Like I say, like igniting one mind at a time to bring the change. One mind at a time, but that change begins with me, begins with my home, where if a female is respected and the gender roles, stereotype gender roles, which are made, like a woman has to do this and a man has to do this, that should not be there. But yes, there are many roles like caregiving and the empathetic. That is definitely a woman can do better, but it should not be like obligation for a woman. Should get respected for that. Like she is doing the caregiving role out of love, like taking care of elderly parents or the children. And yes, definitely cleaning the house is not your job. It should be now everyone is going to work, everyone is empowered. So it should be like divided. Like in India, at least we get maids and all to get help. But definitely outside it should be divided. It should be mutual. It cannot be like you go to the work also and then come back and are responsible to get the work done. Even in India, despite having maids, a man will never think about buying the vegetables, what is there in the house, what's groceries there. A woman will always have in her mind, like if groceries are there or not. So it should be like we should start dividing the responsibilities, but still caregiving and or the manual work which a man can lift a suitcases and all, a woman cannot do. So that is like mutual respect for each other. Like dividing the roles and also not, but respect and trust is important, and the empathy is important, and labeling definitely children learn from their parents. That is a learned behavior which should be changed. Until and unless we start change from our house, it will not change. By social media also will have less effect. The more effect is definitely from the parents. And the children who witness the domestic violence in their homes or the labeling or all these things in the home, they definitely learn it from them. And for them, it's like normalized thing, which should be changed. And also regarding the gender roles, you said, like, I have written a blog, you would like reading it, I will share it with you. It's like the partnership playbook. uh, like we should be partners and divide our roles, but still, if you are busy, I can do that work. But if you are promoted, my husband should be happy. Like a man should be happy if a woman is promoted, as every woman celebrates a win of a man. But how many men celebrate when women gets promoted? So that should be like equal. And like I always say, there is a quote: the problem is we have raised a generation of empowered women, but we forgot to teach men how to live with the empowered women.
Yeah.
So like it should be equal partnership playbook. It's like, but it's not like men are below or women is below. It is like taking responsibilities. If you believe like a man should do the work, then you should also be equally financially literate to take his responsibility. So the burden on the man only, and the burden should not come on the female only. And definitely like household cleaning, kitchen, cooking, that is a basic life skill. That's not a something entitled like you are doing. So basic life skill everyone should know.
Mm-hmm. So as we're talking about, I mean, now let's do it. We're talking about the show. Everyone's talking about adolescence. Is there anything for you in that series that you want to highlight and bring out today and talk about? What stood out for you?
So there are many things. First of all, like first thing in the first episode, it's like about the anxiety, the emotional dysregulation, impulsivity of a child, and that comes from the family dynamics, where is the childhood neglect, and also the learning behavior from his father who has been aggressive, apologizing. Then there is the another thing is the way they have raised their children is very different. They have raised a daughter and they have raised a boy. They keep on telling they're raising the equally, but the daughter keeps on living on a survival mode, people pleasing mode, and son is being entitled to be aggressive and demanding and all those things. So that is difference. And yes, the most important aspect the adolescent movie brings is the psychologist also emphasizes that comprehensive mental health assessment is important. She emphasizes on that. And also, definitely, the movie is very a dark reality. The maybe we call it the ugly truth of the society. It has the ugly truth, but it has ignited very important conversations, and it has given a message to the policy makers also as a call to action that it's time to change and for the break the stigma around the mental health. Then also the media is playing, social media is being controlled by like the number of likes, and nobody is able to control the content. Nobody knows what is happening behind. So that is like artificial intelligence and the algorithm based it's all, which is like a boy maybe once he searches for something, all the things keep on popping up like that, and he becomes addicted to that. So it's like algorithm based. So it's like really, I always say it's now. Have you seen like we always whenever we are doing the computer thing or something, we are asked to we are not robot.
Yes. Yeah.
We are asked to put a pin like we are not robot. We have to tell we are not robots, and we are proving it to the machine.
Yeah.
Taking over. So it's algorithm based, and so definitely there the media literacy is important. There should be some control on social media. What the child is watching, parents should do that. Definitely that policing is necessary in this world, because the social media is all algorithm based. It's all about likes, and definitely the more aggression, the more hatred they are showing, the more people are getting affected. And both the sexes are getting affected. Man is normalizing that behavior that he is entitled to be masculine, toxic masculinity is being normalized. And as I give example of the animal movie, please watch that.
Yes, it's my call to action. I will.
Like Ranbir Kapoor is a very handsome man and every girl gets attracted to him, but no girl knows what it will bring if the real life man is like that. So in real life, Ranbir Kapoor is the most charming man. He's always supporting his wife. It's just the fictional character which women are normalizing. They then get attracted. Yes, I want a man like him. So it's affecting both the sexes. One side, it is affecting a male to be toxic masculine, and another side, teenagers are being affected with accepting that role. Like, yes, I want a macho man. I want a man like him, but they don't know in reality what it is like.
Yeah, I mean, I always use this example and I've shared it before, but when my sister-in-law met my brother before they got married, they started dating, and my sister-in-law's mom asked her about my brother. And first of all, I only ever know our elders, want to know, is he handsome? Is he tall? All the external factors. What's his job like? All these sorts of things that they think make the character of a man. And I'd never heard an Indian mom ever ask her daughter this. And I was very impressed that my sister-in-law's mother said, "You're dating this guy. Okay, great." And she said, "Does he make you laugh?" And my sister-in-law and her mom talked about that. And, she said, "Actually, yes, he's very funny." I always think about that because I think we don't think about the things that make the character of our partner, whether it's a woman or a man. Even a man, may want a woman that has big boobs and has her big lips and looks like this and looks like that. And then we also grow up with the Indian film industry or even Hollywood, and we see these rom-coms with these big gestures and grand dances. And so we assume that that's what a healthy relationship is. We always want excitement. And again, we distract ourselves from the real thing, which is when all of that goes away and I am having the worst day in the world, what would I want from my partner? How would I want my partner to be sitting with me shoulder to shoulder when the most traumatic thing happens to me? I don't need him dancing for me. His good looks aren't going to soothe me. His macho-ness isn't going to keep me safe. I need a partner that is going to be able to understand how to safely talk to me, hold my emotions with me, all these kinds of things. But we're not really taught these things. We don't think about them. And this is also why I feel like the divorce rate is getting higher and higher, because we are taught to plan for a fancy, sexy wedding, but not what it means to be in a marriage. And there's lots of dark days in a marriage or in a relationship, and that's not bad as long as, we're both safe. And so going back to even the simple question of, can this man make you laugh? I think that's the beginning of really what we should be talking to with our children around. What, even in adolescence, the psychologist, she asked the boy, what does being a man mean to you? What does being with a woman mean to you? And she's trying to figure out how he's taught this, and he doesn't really know. He doesn't really know his own opinion. He just knows what he's seen from his dad and what he's seen on social media with these models and pictures. So I think again, we know what we're teaching our kids, or we think we're doing a good thing by sending them to a great school or buying them the fancy cars, but we're not filling them up with good character building and teaching them how to build insight about what does a person make me feel like when I feel good or when I feel bad. So just if you can speak to that a little bit as well.
So definitely the mutual respect, compassion is very important. And even like teenagers are actually getting more impressed by the boys who have a macho man personality. But in reality, it should be like a man should be able to communicate with you when you are upset, instead of just being protective of you from other men, or like just being protective of your beautiful body or being attracted to that. Like, that is not important. The more important is the empathy, the power of communication you two have, how you communicate, and the love language. You both should understand each other's love language. And it's like love languages are like the words of encouragement. Then there is a act of service, the gift, and So it's like different for a man and a woman. Mostly men believe in the act of service. Like if you do some work for him, it's a love language for him. And women believe in like gifts, compliments, and all. So if both of them understand the language of each other love, that is more important instead of the looks and also the masculinity. And yes, being a gentleman, it does not mean like you are handsome, you have good looks. True gentleman is the one who is actually empathetic, is able to embrace his emotions, is vulnerable, is able to embrace his flaws, and has mutual respect for the woman. And I always say the quote, men of quality are never afraid of gender equality.
True that. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And that's the work that we as adults around the future, these kids that we're all raising, that we really want to focus on. Like even when we go back to the show, I think it was really, really interesting how much the adults at the school were so dysregulated about the murder of this girl. And they were trying to just keep going on. Let's go back to class. Let's learn. You heard, in parts of the scene, teachers yelling at the kids, tuck your shirt in, all these things that matter not when something traumatic just happened to you in the school amongst their peer group. And these kids already know exactly what happened. Back in the day, we had to wait for the newspaper to tell us what happened. And today, we don't need the police sending us a statement. We get the videos before they even send that. So we're not even thinking about how much more these kids know, the language they are using to actually understand. I mean, the police didn't even understand half of, the kids had to tell them this is actually what was going on in there. So they didn't even know all of these things because we assume we know. And I think we have to, like, as adults, stop for a second. You made a really good point at the beginning of this conversation about we need to look at emotional intelligence, emotional regulation in the school systems. To be honest, COVID was a good example of how many parents learned they're a better teacher than the teachers are to their kids. When the kids weren't in school, many parents were doing a wonderful job teaching their kids what they needed to know about academics. But how many of us, whether it's in our home or in school, are focusing on the psychosocial part? And yet that's the education these kids are needing more than anything. If I don't want my kids on social media past 10 p.m., then I could reach out to these parents and say, do you think that we all feel this way? Or is there a way, collective care? Is there a way we could come together and create some rules together? Because 6 kids are on social media together, and I'm sure all those kids' parents are just as worried as I am. But we hide from it, right? Like we want to make it seem like we are doing a great job as parenting, but we can't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. We need each other.
So first of all, like definitely one should not hide the child's mistake. We should embrace their mistake and correct it. And I always say, please, the biggest enabler is the mother. Basically, in Indian society, especially, a woman, when she gives birth to a boy, she gets entitled to do anything. Like, she gets entitled and she feels like my boy cannot do wrong. And she starts accepting it, that, and she starts hiding the mistakes. And that is the biggest, from the childhood only it starts. And even when he gets aggressive, he gets addicted to alcohol, the things become acceptable for a woman, for a mother, because it has given her entitlement. Her identity is being like defined by it that she has given birth to the son. So, which is like very wrong, and we should treat our daughters and sons equal way. And yes, definitely, though, you have brought the very right point. Like kids are connected on social media, so definitely there should be like community meetups or a weekends you can do a parent and child together. Activities can be done like this fish ball, or together we can you can go to some picnic spot. So definitely knowing the parents also is important. But when you meet them, you should not hide your child's mistakes. If someone points out, you should not protect that. Instead of them, you should correct it instead of becoming defensive. Okay. And it should not be like all, even for the daughter, it should not be like my kids are right, my kids are good, my kids are good. It's not like If someone is pointing out and saying that your child said a bad word, it's like you should accept that. Yes, you should not become defensive. Okay, you can be neutral stance there instead of becoming defensive. But at least in the home, you should come and talk about it. Even if someone posts on social media, like once there was an incident, my friend's child, like someone posted some abusive word, like some meme with abusive word on a social media, and I felt very concerned. Like, she is such a young child and she is doing that. Then first I thought she will feel bad, like I'm complaining. But then I called the parent and I told, like, it is happening. You should do it, but don't tell her like who is complaining, because otherwise she will lose that bond with me. She will not share the bond with me. Instead of blaming, you should just teach her. So accept the mistake your child has done, whether it's a girl, whether it's a boy. And even if someone else tells you, you can be subtle or neutral instead of become defensive. Because once you become defensive, that will be like your child will think, yes, my mom is supporting me, I'm right.
Yeah. And
Or not to be strict also, that will also bring the hatred in them.
totally. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think your part about defensiveness is really important for all of us as adults to focus on, because it's that ego again. And sometimes I think that defensiveness stops us from being in a mindful place and in the present of yes, this is possible. Yes, this could be happening. And yes, I don't feel good about it. It's okay to also say, like, that's why the defenses stop us from feeling. We react and we go to, no, you're the problem. We change it, turn around. But I think we're missing that so much, these little transitions throughout the day that happen, and we stop ourselves, whether we fill ourselves with substances, alcohol, drugs, or medications. We keep ourselves busy with all these sorts of things, and we're not feeling in the moment that yucky feeling of my kid made a really bad mistake, or I did something that's making this situation worse, or I just don't feel good about it right now. And I think this is the part where we learn the most. But we want to skip to the, I raised the smartest kid, and we want to say the best thing about them. And I don't think we get to decide that. I think society will decide if we raised a good kid or not. It's not really up to us. So I would love to chat with you a little bit about how can we, in such a busy world where our kids are doing all these recreational things and hobbies and social media all day long, how can we encourage the pausing and being in the mindful state as well, so that we can encourage insight building, reflection, all those kinds of things that we're missing? Any tips on how we can be doing that more?
First thing is like the kid will learn from you. I saw a meme on the internet. One mother and child was sitting and they were on the phone. Mother was on the phone and child was also. And another mother was sitting in a metro, Delhi metro, like she was sitting and the child was reading, and mother also had a book in the hand. So if you are reading, you are being mindful, child will be into that. If you are only on your phone and into the social media, child will learn that only. And spending the time with the child, not the time, the quality time. Whether you spend just half an hour, 1 hour with the child, but that should be a quality time. It should not be like just pointing out his mistakes or just talking about his homework, what he did, what he did not do. It should be the quality time talking about his interests, his passions, or who his friends are, what would he like to do on the weekend, and why he would like to do that. And the critical thinking. This is not the critical thinking that is very like for the young age, but curiosity. So ignite the spark in them only. So that will change the spark from within. And definitely your child copies you. If you are into the habit of reading, child will be reading the book. If you are on your phone, definitely child will also be on the phone.
Yeah.
So that was a very good meme which came, like she just asked like, how are you making your child read? And it was like a comedy, like cartoon character. Because mom is reading, child is reading. Another mom is just on the phone, so child will be on the phone. So she does not have to moral polish the child to read. It's the behavior which reflects. Definitely spending time with your children is very important, which is being lost these days. And I say it's like children are becoming more and more lonely despite being in the highly connected digital world. Because in digital world, the connections which are made, they are not real. They all are fake. It cannot build emotions, it cannot build empathy in the child. The real world connections are more important. It is in real world, if you have at least two friends, that is more important than having 100 friends on social media.
Yeah.
So that's important, and definitely you have your roots in India, so keep them connected with their grandparents, talking with them. That is very important, and that actually ingrains them with a good empathy, good compassionate skills. Sometimes the best lessons come from our grandmothers instead of the books and the novels.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of what I learned from my grandmothers and my grandfather, I every day there is a lesson or a reminder that I think about because they had such a big influence in my life as well. And I definitely see that for my children as well, how important it is for them to have that relationship. So, for parents or adults today that are listening, what's one piece of advice that you would like to share with them?
So first of all, like as we were talking about the movie Adolescence, so it gives a great message. You can't handle the truth. It shows the reality of the society, and that's why everyone is being disturbed. Whoever watches the movie, I tried watching the movie. I switched it on, and starting only within half an hour, I switched off because I got so depressed. What's happening? And there is another movie, The Betrayal of Trust. It exposes the child care system of Australia. So that is also very depressing. So the truth is not being you can't handle the truth because the things are becoming so ugly because of all this. So the message I will give to the society, parents, and everybody is first of all dismantle the toxic masculinity. Even the psychologist in that episode, she says we should teach our men to be vulnerable and make them cry and help them to be vulnerable and make them that crying is not a sign of weakness. So that is a psychologist statement in the book, in that episode only, first of all. And making them emotionally intelligent, dismantling the stereotypes and the misogynist attitude, that sexism and the hatred towards the women. And yes, this is like now it's becoming like a feminist. I never say feminist is a woman who is against the man. That is not a true definition of feminism. We have taken it, people have taken it only in the wrong direction. It's about having equal opportunities for both men and women, first of all. And even the women should have an empathetic attitude towards the man. If man is vulnerable, it should not be labeled as being weak. That because a man who will become vulnerable, he becomes vulnerable to only the most closest woman he is to. A man does not become a vulnerable like that. And that trust has to be there. Compassion should be included. And also for the society, it's like yes, parents should keep on watching what their children are doing behind the screens. It should not be like they are sitting in their room and children are all the time on the phone. And you cannot control everything, but definitely you should have an idea by having conversations. That is the key. And the we should teach about the what healthy masculinity is, like embracing the emotions and all, and smashing the patriarchy, the dismantling this, the stereotype gender type stereotype. That should be like women are taught to be submissive, to be people pleasing. That should also be changed. Women should be empowered. And anyways, I say nowadays, anyways, women are not empowered, it is in power. But it's just man should handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Should know women who's empowered. And that is like the message, and to break the stigma, to talk about mental health issues from the beginning, because nowadays they are very prevalent. Earlier these problems were not there much. Nowadays even adolescents and medical college students come to me saying about suicidal ideas. And I don't remember, like despite being surrounded with psychiatrists, that time we never spoke about the children having so many issues. So
Yeah.
that should be like, yeah, nowadays it's like a adolescent mental health and school mental health program should be done. That is more important.
Well said. For those listening or viewing today, we talked about a lot of action. We talked about a lot of ideas. If those want to take action, what are 3 immediate things that they could do to create change in their own home, in their own community?
So, in the own home, first of all, be empathetic, be kind, be compassionate, and there should be not be male dominance in the home also, and the roles should not be defined. As you gave the example, like mom is cleaning the kitchen, it should not be like that. Definitely not in the Western world, because there you don't have help anyways. At least in India, we can hire the help, we can hire a child care. So there should be like equality in the house. It begins from your home. The change begins from home. And the compassion, the way you talk to your husband and the way your husband talks to you, both the things matter. You also should not shout in front of the kids, and he should not shout. And there should not be any labels used for women. That is very important. Many men, they use the labels. I am also a doctor, I should also be called doctor. If my male colleague is being called doctor, why I am being called, oh sweetheart, oh how are you? You are looking beautiful. Why all this? That should not be done at the workplace also. And that, even like when you go to the market, kids are with you, they notice these things. So these things should be changed. Then among the community, definitely communities should come together. As I told you, like you can arrange the potluck lunches. I change the name, like I take it to the fish pond,
Oh,
like potluck lunch.
I liked fishbowl. That was cute.
Know about the what peer group your child is into. What is the company the child keeps? It is very important, and that is definitely it affects the children. Like in this stage, also it affects me, my company. And anyways, we always say a man is known by the company he keeps. And it is very important. Loneliness is a very big disease. It's very harmful, more than the smoking also. So, not let your child be lonely when he is with you. It should not be like you are just busy in your work. Don't be so busy in your life that you forget to live a life.
Yeah. I have an example of that. I was working 24/7 in mental health for many, 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 many years. And almost 3 years ago, I decided to resign from this position. And just as I was resigning, my son came. It was so symbolic, this timing. He came out from my room and he had my high heels on. He had my work bag and he had my work phone. And he walks out, and I made a video of this. He walks out and he's like, I'm Kieran. All I do is work, work, work. Let me see what's on my phone. You kid, you go to your room and you stay there, and I'm just going to work. And my mouth opened because I thought, here I am working so hard. I want to show my boys what it is to be a working woman. But I forgot how to connect that to them. I forgot how to be present with them. And my son, for years, all they would see was, okay, my mom just wants me away. She just wants me to be quiet over here while she works and gives her time over here. And I could not believe that I could not believe that. You know what I mean? Like, how did I not know that was happening? Because I wasn't present. I was not mindful. And so I agree with you. I think the messages we think we're sending don't always translate in that way. And this is not about lack of love and care. I think that is there, but there has to be something more than the love. And we have to be more aware. And it's a superpower if you have self-awareness. I think you're winning the day if you have a truthful awareness of what's happening. So I kept that video because I thought, oh my gosh, this is what my son, is growing up thinking of his mother, that she just says, go away. So I think we can say what we want, but the kids have a very clear, better understanding of what's actually happening.
Yeah. This is like starking truth you have told. Like, it's like you were busy. It was a good intention to be busy earning and all, to be working woman, to make your kids' future better and secure. But the present will become better when you spend time with them, which is more important. And I'm not saying to be free, but spend like at least one, that is the quality time with them.
That's just
And if your child, the neglected childhood gives rise to insecure attachment, it gives rise to aggression, it gives rise to hatred towards parents, and so many psychiatric issues, mental health problems, which is very difficult to deal with later life. It definitely impacts the relationship patterns the child falls into.
That's right.
If a neglected, she starts falling for the wrong, the moment she gets attraction, she falls for that. The moment she gets attention, the moment she gets the love, she falls for that, falls prey to that. So that should not be done. And in men, the toxic behavior starts developing, they become rebellious. So that is like, yeah, your child has shown you the mirror.
Yeah, they do, right? Is there anything you wish that I had asked you today that maybe I didn't, or that you want to go back and you want to add to or clarify?
So yes, yeah, how can we achieve basically gender equality? So I would like to talk about like the men being the allies is very important. There is even a United Nations Women campaign, he for she campaign. Until and unless men starts talking about women only talking about the violence and women only talking about being like empowered, it's not going to bring the change. It's the men, when they come as allies with us, the society will become better. And also, I don't talk about the gender equality, it is more about the gender mutuality and the harmony. Because biologically, everything is different. Men and women are made different. So we can live in harmony, we cannot be equal. And another, yeah, we covered most of the things, but like conversations like these can go on and on. And yes, the stigma about this, which is very important, and the workshops, mental wellness workshops should be done at corporate places, and also the even the mental health awareness should be it should be normalized to talk about mental health, that it should not be a stigma. So that is the important point, to break the stigma around mental health. Especially today's bipolar days, so definitely it's time to break the stigma, to come together. It's not a sign of weakness having any mental illness, or having bipolar is not a sign of weakness. They are a testament of resilience, strength, and all. And do you know why World Bipolar Day is celebrated?
Why?
It's because of the painter Van Vincent Gogh.
Right.
And after on his birth anniversary, it's celebrated every year, because people who have bipolar, they are known to be very intelligent, very creative. Creativity is their gift and talent. So that's why it is celebrated on 30th of March.
There you go. There we go. So we didn't do this yet. So middle fingers up time. So as we're wrapping up, what is something that you want to put your middle fingers up to today?
So I give the middle fingers up to the stigma we have for the mental health issues. So let's break the stigma, and also the toxic masculinity should be dismantled, smashing the patriarchy, and the middle fingers up to the people who think that women should be labeled, and also who think that talking about mental illness is a stigma. So the middle fingers up to the society, and also the middle fingers up to the men who don't embrace their emotions and who think that crying is a weakness, and they should be taught to be vulnerable. So that is my message.
Yes, I'm with you on that. Absolutely. Last question for you before I let you go. You've done such a nice job staying here with me. Call to action. So I know I asked you for 3 things people could do, but okay. So if there was only one thing our listeners and our viewers left with today from your episode, what do you hope that one thing they take today would be?
So call to action, I would like to call all the mental health professionals and the media. Media literacy is very important. The media, the way it portrays the masculinity, that should be changed, that should be redefined. And the way it portrays, the way the crime was portrayed, and it became so glorified, which actually instilled the fear and the anxiety and all the problems in the child in that show also. So the media responsibility, there should be a responsible reporting of the suicide, of the crimes, and also the media like Bollywood, Hollywood, they should redefine the masculinity because our teenager, our generation, not the teenager, even I am so affected by them. And another message is like connectedness is very important. And my favorite star, Shah Rukh Khan, he is anyways the symbol of humble man, how it should be. And yes, he also says friendship is the cement that is going to hold the world together.
There you go. Friendship is very necessary. It's an important part of our lives. Absolutely. Whether it's with our children, whether it's with our family members, whether it's with, people in the community or coworkers, we need connection. We cannot survive without it. So absolutely. So, Dr. Sidhana, thank you so much for being here today, your expertise. Thank you for pushing these conversations forward. We need people like you out there. Again, you're all the way in Rajasthan. I'm all the way in Canada. And here we are having this conversation together. And I think that's really important and we need to highlight it. And for everyone else that's been part of this, these conversations are door openers. We're just scratching the surface. We're just starting to have them. And we need to continue expanding on them, continue growing from them. So if others listening, watching, want to be part of this conversation, want to add to it, you know where I am, but where can people reach out to you if they want to connect with you?
So I am reachable on Facebook, and on Instagram I'm reachable with the handle Shrink Aninda. And Twitter also I'm there, Dr. Aninda. So they can reach me out. You can give my email ID if someone has some mental health issues or someone needs any clarification. Yeah.
Perfect.
I will, you can write.
Yep. I'll have that in the show notes. If we'll put that in there. And as well, you have blogs, you've done a lot of writing, you're a great writer. You've also been on other episodes, you've been part of panels. You're going to be part of a big panel coming up this week. And so is there a place where people can go and access that information?
Yes, yeah, I would like to share my blogs because most of my blogs are about gender equality, redefining the gender roles, then about the loneliness, how lonely we are in this interconnected world and how to handle that. Then forgiveness is a gift. I have written one blog because definitely the forgiveness is a gift because until I forgive someone, I will only keep on, that anger will keep on eating me up. So it's a gift to me. And another thing I write about is I have written 2-3 blogs about men to be emotional and playbook partnership, then about unbutton, like to unbutton your emotions. There was a Levi's ad like unbutton, so I wrote it about it, like men should open up and unbutton their emotions. The talk about that. So I write my blog, so please share that. And it has all the, mostly I write about the mental health issues, and more than the mental health issues, I write about this gender equality, the positive things, how travel can affect us. Travel is a good healing, and how writing is a healer. I have taken writing as a healing mechanism. So, and recently I wrote a poem, Catch Flights, Not Feelings. Now I'm going.
That's right. You're a busy woman. You have a lot of passion and knowledge, and it's very clear in how you speak, how you write, and how much time you dedicate to the conversations that matter, real talk, raw talk. And that's what we need. We need to keep encouraging it. I'll do my part on this end. I know you're going to continue doing your part on your end. And for everyone in between, we need people to step up and, make mistakes, talk until we get better at it. That's the way to do it. We're not going to be perfect. And I think sometimes we have this false feeling that, well, I'm not good at it, so I won't do it. But we get good at it the more we practice, the more we say, the more we speak up. So I think we have to keep encouraging that.
Definitely. And anyways, to err is human. So nobody is perfect.
That's right. That's right.
And like my favorite author is Elizabeth Gilbert, and I like her 2 quotes very much. One is embrace the gloriousness as you are. And another is my actual job is managing my mental health.
Ooh, yes.
Along with that, my job is to manage yours also.
That's the sequel.
So that's another addition to that, to manage yours also. But first of all, to manage my own mental health.
That's right.